Hey guys, Dark Humility here, with perhaps our final installment of my solo self-found Season 11 Hardcore Blade Sin. Our solo self-found Hardcore has gotten to the point to where we have 4 characters, a Summon Druid for bossing, this character for mapping, we also have a Strafe Amazon, all on my Hardcore solo self-found, all sharing items and finds so we can make even more builds and whatnot. And we also have a sorceress that goes between meteor and charge bolt, mostly for LOD at the moment, LOD content. Trying to get those power farms underway oftentimes. Anyway, I'm going to show off my stats, skills, mercenary, and gear, and then we're going to do some demos of her. So the reason why I think this is probably the last version of her I'll show off is because at this point we have 9 trap skillers, including 4 with pretty, 5 with pretty decent mods, and then also we have a really sick weapon, and despite the fact we might be lacking some, I guess you could say, ultra ideal jewels in our gear, and maybe, of course, lacking maybe a bit better trap skillers, maybe like an anti-corruption, which we're still working on. Besides that, I would say this build is pretty solid. The kinds of upgrades we'll probably get from here are going to be pretty small. So, that being said, let's check her out. So we have enough strength to wear our gear. We have enough dex to get maximum block with Phoenix, and Steel Shade with the increased chance of blocking. We have bought Rest into Vitality and none into Energy. Use Battle Command or Barb Bozos. And then we have, of course, Blade Shield and Venom. This is what the sheet damage says. In reality, it's about like 10 to 14k, 10 to 15k. Of course, our damage is actually a little bit lower than you may have seen it last time, not 100% sure, but our actual damage is way higher. Actually might be about the same, but because we have full skillers now and we're using this weapon with an additional -8 negative physical res, our damage is significantly higher. Also, our warriors are a lot tankier, and we have a lot of other things going for us as well. Our actual attack rating once we get enchant is going to be about like 10,500, so that's exactly kind of where you want it. One thing to keep in mind is that Claw and Dagger Mastery does not impact your attack rating or damage with Blade Fury. It will, of course, impact the critical strike, which rolls independently from Deadly Strike for 1.5 times damage multiplier every time you hit with one of your Blade Fury shurikens. So, yeah. Now, what's interesting is Shadow Warriors, you could totally use Masters as well, but Warriors will fire off one Blade Fury at a time like this. Well, no, not like that, but yeah, you notice how they're firing off one like that. So they could help a little bit with the DPS, but all in all, it's actually it's not really all that important. But it is important to note, though. So notice that we do have max res. Res is overstacked a little bit. I actually would prefer it to be more overstacked, but yeah, I don't know. For the most part, that's fine. Just kind of have to watch certain negative res stats on maps. We used to have it more overstacked, but I sacrificed it for more damage, particularly with the 9 trap skillers that we have below here. Yeah, 50% damage reduction, though. That's a pretty big milestone to get 50%. That means that even if we get amped, we'll be at 0, so we have no negative damage reduction ever, which makes us pretty tanky. Our hit recovery is just enough to stave off some really bad consequences of negative hit recovery on maps, but honestly, we don't get put in a hit recovery very easily because we have max block and we have good res. So, for the most part, not super important. If I had like a 12 FHR trap GC, though, that would be nice, though, for negative faster hit recovery maps to prevent the terrible effects of negative fast hit recovery, which can cause us to go into like a breakdance animation and recover in an eternity, so that's not good. But one thing to note, of course, is that we do have some attack speed now on our overall build, mostly because we absolutely do need some attack speed because Whispering Mirage is such a slow weapon. So to still attack at the same rate that we were before, make sure we actually have attack speed. You'll notice if I take this off here, the animation is slower, so the wind-up is slower. That's not good. That's the only thing to worry about, though, is to make sure you're attacking that fast, at least for the wind-up. The actual attack speed itself doesn't vary, just the wind-up on Blade Fury. So even though it says ISNA, that's the only thing to really worry about. So we did make sure we have some attack speed ED, you know, we have other damage jewels and res jewels and things like res runes, things of that nature. We definitely could have better jewels though, so maybe at some point I'll swap them out. Like if I get attack speed all resistance jewel, that'd be pretty big. Maybe you could use an attack speed fire res jewel on top of that, and then maybe put just pure ED, maybe 2 low runes in here for 75 deadly strike. 54 is pretty good on top of the 20 crit provided by Claw and Dagger Mastery, but which I guess if it rolls independently, all in all, we got all about 60 out of 75 DS at the moment, so it definitely could be a bit better in that regard, but it's not too far off. It's a pretty solid setup there. And then of course make sure you have one of each leech just in general on this build, and then we have over 100 base magic find, which is solid. One thing to note, of course, is you can always have a bit more and you'll find even more stuff, but maps do stack your magic find pretty nicely, so you never have to worry about that too much. In addition to that sustain, we also have the Redemption Aura sustain as well though. But yeah, in general that's kind of what you're going for though. You can even stack more DR, stack more res with even better items. We can't trade, once again this is solo self-found hardcore, so we cannot do that, but despite that we have some pretty good stuff, right? Of course we can make 2 shadows with Whispering Mirage. Anyway, we got 1 point Venom, max fade. I put in a couple points into this because this does help. The stats do all make Blade Sentinel stronger, but also of course their crit strike, so I got that a few more points higher. I put a lot of points into Warrior. You can definitely max this instead. And then 1 point Dragonflight so you can move around, and that mobility being pretty key, particularly for Mercenary positioning, so you can proc that amp in Battlecry. And then you have Blade Sentinel, Blade Fury, and Blade Shield maxed out. So then we got the Mercenaries. So one thing we could do with the Mercenary using the Innocence rune word, this is a pretty solid roll. I think we might have shown this off last instance though. We could have an on-striking battle cry Cyclopean Roar. I haven't found one of those yet. I found 4 on casting ones, so it's possible we could get slightly more reliable battle cry, but he casts it a lot himself, particularly if you give him high attack speed. And of course on top of that, if you also have the movement speed for his whirlwind as well, so he whirls through more enemies, he just responds a lot faster. I feel like if you make him faster, both movement speed wise and attack speed wise, his AI is faster as well. So that's really good. You might notice the Vile Husk we have now is better. It's because we actually found a second one and we puzzled it. No, wait, we corrupted it for 4. I mean, that's really all you want, really. Just 4 sockets so you can just put a ton of attack speed in it. Lava Gouts, that gives us a bit more AR, gives us some fire damage, and attack speed for him. Eth Sigurd Staunch. Yeah, this makes him really tanky. Tons of defense. Just notice like 6,000 defense. It's pretty broken, honestly, for defense. With all that defense and decent DR, he's pretty hard to kill. I mean, his DR is only 23, but because he has like 12,000 defense, and he leeches really well with Whirlwind, and he's got the life leech here and everything else, he's just really tanky. He also got the maximum life. He almost has 3,000 HP. He's pretty tanky. This is just for tankiness, honestly, and cannot be frozen is really good, so he's constantly moving and attacking. Yeah, we have a really solid setup. Also, movement speed corrupted Merman Sprocket for the Whirlwind Mercenary. That's really sick. So honestly, we've gotten some pretty sick items for this bad boy here. He is a beast. The whole idea, of course, is that the Innocence, the Blade Shield, will proc on striking effects. Mostly the amplified damage here. And yeah, this has slightly more chance to proc it than, say, a Gavel of Pain, but you could also use a Gavel of Pain. And the Innocence will proc amp whenever we jump in. Also, when he's in the middle of monsters, he'll cast Battle Cry as well, further weakening their physical resistance, and that negative physical res is really good for this build. Massively increases the amount of damage output from every attack. Now this, I think, is different from the last time. So we did corrupt this, and 3-socketed -8 Whispering Mirage. If I could get my hands on a vial, that'd be pretty sick. We are still continuing, so you never know. Maybe I'll find one, maybe I won't before she dies, who knows. Or she doesn't, I don't know. But at any rate, mostly focusing on res here. Got some other somewhat useful stats, but enhanced damage, attack speed, enhanced damage, other stats and jewels, enhanced damage, physical damage reduction, crafted safety armor, 3-socket Whispering Mirage, MF High Lords for the Magic Find. Phoenix is just insane on this build. It's not just the sustain, it's the res, max res, it's the life, and the enhanced damage is equivalent to having like 7 skills on your offhand. It's pretty nuts. And then, of course, we only need this for battle command because he does battle orders, so level 5 is pretty good. I haven't been able to roll higher than 5, and I've rolled like 6 CTAs so far, so it is what it is. Could get a 6 and get a little bit more enhanced damage there. This is literally the best corruption we probably could get on the Soul Drainer, particularly considering we're lacking a bit of Deadly Strike. And of course, this is for a combination of damage and Magic Find. Very good stuff. And then Ravenfrost Dex giving us closer to that max block. This giving us our Cannot Be Frozen as well. And then really sick corruption and really sick roll on Volcatha's Deathband. And block chance 14 DR string, which is really solid stuff. Just for overall, like, reducing the amount of decks we need to max things out. And then yeah, we got a full suite of trap GCs. Got like decent amount of planes there, but as you can see, 5 decks on a Sin is like 15 life, and 6 strength apiece is like 18 life apiece, 11 life, and 7 fast run walk. So we don't have any insane trap skillers. I do have a lot of other insane skills of other skills. But combined, I mean, that's a pretty good set. That's not terrible at this point. With enough re-rolling, the level 91, 90, and 90 plus GCs, we finally were able to achieve a pretty decent set. We actually have 10 total now, which is interesting. And then we have Magic Find and Res, mostly, and Life Res, and some faster hit recovery, so we don't get totally destroyed by that stat. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just use Fade. Definitely could use Burst of Speed on this build, but if you're going to do that, you're probably going to want to use a very different setup. I mean, there's a lot of options. Veil of Steel would help with resistances, so you could probably do that a bit easier, and then you could use like Storm Shield, but then you wouldn't have as much enhanced damage. And one thing to keep in mind is that skills are very good on this build, which is why the trap skillers, like if I take off the trap skillers real quick, I can kind of show you, well, without making the Phoenix unusable. But you can see yeah, it's pretty bad. You lose tons of damage. Yeah, these are no joke. So this is definitely one of the biggest challenges of solo self-found. When you can't just trade for these, this is a big achievement for sure. And of course, getting the Annie as well, getting the torch and everything squared away. So there you have it. Well, at any rate, let's go show her off a bit here. We'll show her one tier at a time here. And we'll just go up and show what she's capable of. She's become absurdly strong. Suffice it to say. Yeah, she's tier 1 maps aren't really, you know. Yeah, so one thing I found out is that, you know, I made some pretty good crafting claws along the way and whatnot. But one thing I found out pretty quick playing this character, and then once I actually didn't brick my Whispering Mirage and started getting good corruptions like this one, is that, yeah, the negative physical res is just that important. It makes a big difference. Yeah, you can see here, absolute monster, just like shredding everything. Now we finally have all our trap GCs and have a -8 3-socket Whisper Mirage. We got high deadly strike, not just like passable deadly strike. This build is definitely one of the premier builds of this season for a reason. You can see, even on solo self-found hardcore, where we also have to worry a lot about our defensive stats, it's pretty easy. Masters can be good against elemental damage, but I've noticed that the warriors are pretty good though. They help a little bit with DPS, I mean, just a little bit, you know. It's not terrible. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty nuts. Oh yeah, try out my new version of the ADEV DH filter. I even have filter levels now, at least a couple. Get rid of those annoying blue bases on the ground in case they're obstructing your ability to see any items or do the Mendel event or Uber Ancients. And to get rid of every potion except for full juice. So that's kind of neat. Yikes. That's kind of crazy. Interesting event, honestly. Let's see, how do we do in a map like this when it doesn't have physical immunes? Wow. Yeah, this damage is pretty nuts now. I mean, you can kind of see, if you compare to this video from the last one, you'll see that's just, it's pretty bonkers how strong we've gotten. But it's like I've said though, I mean, I definitely wouldn't mind getting some slightly better jewels to put in our current helm. And you know, it's always possible to get like a better like steel shade corruption still. You know, we can get, I mean, I actually have a High Lord's corruption that can give me 2 max res at the moment. I'm just choosing to use Magic Find. Just kind of cool. Probably gonna use that for bossing though. I mean, I feel like. See, that dude's got stone skin. Nah, that's nutty. One thing we could also do is if I had like a 12 or higher faster block rate Soul Drainer, I might use that over Deadly Strike just so I could hit the next block rate. The next block rate breakpoint. That wouldn't be too bad. I'd have to give up some Deadly Strike, but like I said, if I maybe improve the jewel situation even more than it already is. I mean, I got decent stuff in there, but it's not the craziest stuff. We found a lot of good jewels though, so we'll probably find more at some point. I always pick them up, you know. Yeah, the only thing you really gotta watch when you're dealing with that crap is like amp. That's it. And you can see that, you know, you don't even need to max the Shadow Warriors. They're really tanky at this point. They help a little bit with damage. I mean, why not? Yeah, Minions of Destruction. Usually a bit of a tanky mess, but pretty easy to deal with now. Alright, let's do some other demo maps here. It's cool to show off this one though. I've actually never done this map with this build because it's kind of cool to get a Horizon in later seasons now because there's no immunities in the map that he opens. So it's always cool to like try a different map that you normally wouldn't do with the build. But yeah, look how quickly in a tier 2 map, look how quickly just monsters are evaporating. It's pretty nuts. And of course walls will always make this more deadly. Oh, of course, we can always try at other maps, you know, harder maps as well. Let's see, let's go to Demon Road. Demon Road's really good. This is just a good map in general, but it's also a really good demonstration of the power on this build. Let's see here. At least I think it is. Not everything's a good demo, but you know. 20 life soldier? Interesting. Well, let's see. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's go mess around in this map a bit now. Show you a bunch of different maps, just how strong we've gotten. I am pretty impressed with how powerful this character is and what we've achieved so far. You know, we definitely plan to showcase some more builds here. Hopefully we'll get a Wrathman Illusion fight as well. I'm taking my time with this, but as much as I'm able to play, we can continue to get stronger. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. Yeah, this damage is kind of bonkers. Very easily just chain from pack to pack now, just shred the whole screen pretty much. Monsters that have physical immunity, you know, they can be a little annoying for half a second until I jump in with the Mercenary. But with both Battlecry and Amp, he can deal with anything. He is fully equipped to handle anything. And see, even things that you normally can't leech off of, it doesn't matter. Like, I've got a combination of both Redemption and Leech. I can even sustain AFK. I mean, that's just how balanced this build is. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's just crazy, right? And both my strafe multi-shot Xana and this character feed off of density. She does with procs. This character feeds off of density by the blades bouncing off more monsters. So higher density doesn't make this character slower. It just instead increases the number of kills. Gotta watch being amped a little bit, you know. I do have a ton of DR though, so for the most part, being amped is not a big deal. And because we're so tanky, we can just jump into anything. We could be tankier. I don't know, maybe we'll get like a 45 life GC, maybe level up one more time. Be above 2,000 life again. I've been above 2,000 life here and there. But now we have all our trap GCs, because the trap GCs don't have as much life as my original terms. We've dropped a bit here and there for sure. At least in terms of HP. Razor tail? Oh, that's not bad. Oh man. So yeah, if you haven't made this build this season, I would do it before it gets nerfed. I mean, I know we're like 2 months into the season, but it's never too late, man. This is a pretty wild build, honestly. Alright, and we'll show off a couple more maps here as well. I do like showing them off. Let's see, Ruined Cistern is a good one, and then we'll show off the cow level, because, you know, I would say in the past few seasons, I haven't made a lot of super strong cowing builds, but this build definitely is pretty decent. You could definitely make even stronger cowing builds though, and obviously, like, given that this is a solo self-found version of this build, you could make a stronger version, absolutely. I mean, if you had Wisp Projector, even if I had it, I probably wouldn't use it because I'd lose too much PDR, but, like, Wisp Projector would give you more damage. Perfect, like, ED, dual min-max duels, and the weapon and everything. That'd give you more damage. There's a lot of stuff that could give you more damage. This one has negative cast speed, but so we're gonna be a little slow in the wind up in this map. But you'll see it doesn't matter too much. A lot of people are very concerned about like how important like attack speed is on this build. It's not that important. This is a really slow claw. I put some attack speed, of course, in my items to make it faster. But even in a map where it takes away my attack speed again, throws it to the wolves, it's pretty good. But you can see in tier 3s though, absolutely crushing face. Crazy thing is you don't even really need Amp and Battlecry most of the time anymore to do significant damage, just because they're flat negative res and her damage is so high. Look at that. Absolute crazy stuff going on there. Alright. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, like, we've come a long way on this character, you know? A lot of grinding, but to get a character of this power without trading. I don't recommend going against 2 auras of amp, so now we're amped, you know? Good timing on that, honestly. No amp first, otherwise I would not jump in, you know? Stand back. This build can be ranged and melee, you know? Can definitely switch it up. Yeah, that negative cast speed actually really sucks for the speed of dragon flight as well, which I believe is cast rate. It's like, why am I not dragon flighting in here? Well, that's why I'm getting interrupted. Not the best corruption stat, but it does have the bonuses, of course. Density, and I think it's rarity as well. Density, rarity. I want to show the boss real quick, if I can. I know what the boss is, kind of fun to show off the boss in this character. I kind of just like jump in the middle and shred all 3 of the Hydra heads. Yeah, so this is actually like 10,500 AR roughly. 1,600, something like that. If you strip away the stat that's not applying in this season correctly. Claw Mastery. So they might make it work properly next season, but then they'll probably have to nerf the damage to compensate. I'd imagine so. Yep. And of course you can still use Sentinel for single targets, but if I'm being honest, when you get a Blade Fury this powerful, I often don't even bother, particularly when my cast speed's this slow. I would just go for Fury still, because it still kills him very fast. We're at the point now when, like, you achieve a build of this power where it's like, I don't really need to care anymore. Not in that regard, anyway. Yeah, you can see that even if I don't get the amp, I usually get the battle cry, and even if I don't get the battle cry, I get the amp. It's pretty perfect. Might have seen this in the last video as well, though. But you're definitely using a weapon quite a bit weaker because we didn't have access to one of these yet. That Andy farm was actually quite useful. Highly recommend farming Andy to get a self down hardcore started. It's a big difference. Alright, let's see what we got here. Is this the boss, or is this the other thing? Yeah, I think this is the boss, maybe. Sure, poison res is max in here. Make sure you have good DR too. Block, I believe, also does help. Hey, you just jump in the middle and... yeah, this Let's do this. They all bounce off of each other. Pretty solid, right? And lastly, but not least, we will, I'll show off a cow level. But yeah, I don't see myself doing another build showcase for this character. You'll probably see other characters now. I don't know, maybe I'll get something crazy and I'll have to show it off again. But somehow I don't see that happening. I mean, she's already at such a strong level now. And, I mean, I literally can't get more trap GCs. I mean, there's definitely some limitations. There's no guarantee I get a +2, but that'd be nice, right? You know, maybe like a +1 and 2 sockets on the Steel Shade, more ED and the jewels and whatnot. You know, those situations could be nice, and our damage will be even higher. But I think you guys can see that everything's already instantly dying for the most part. So, not really much else to see with even more upgrades, but in solo self-found though, you never know what you're going to get, you never know what you're not going to get, and that's often the problem. Anyway though, one thing that's good about Shadow Masters that I learned recently, which is why I switched back to Warriors, is that, well, for one, you can make the Warriors a little tankier against most things, like when it comes to like any kind of physical damage. Not elemental, but physical. The other thing though is that the Masters sometimes can randomly roll weapons with lower resist, which can cancel out your amp, and then you have to like respawn them. That's actually kind of annoying. Oh man, look at this one. Beautiful, right? That's what you always hope to do with any build, just launch yourself into a cow pack and just obliterate it. The good thing about cows is they're so dense too, that when you jump into their burk, it's pretty much guaranteed an instant amp proc. Near instant, anyway. Yeah, you get a lot of them, so. It's pretty cool, right? Pretty overpowered. Oh my goodness. We're amped now. Just gotta be cautious of auras for the most part. It'll be fun. Amp plus auras is always the problem, even when you have DR, you know, you just have to watch it. Things like cows or any like projectile physical damage monster with like aura or multiple auras plus you getting amped, and if you don't have like curse resistance or additional DR on top of your max DR, it can be problematic for sure. Look how strong we are though. Stone skin. Pretty fast shreddage of the stone skin, right? I bet you don't remember the cows going down quite this fast. Yeah, this is definitely when you reach the end game version for sure. And this is like, oh, I like Stormspire. Oh wow. The cows hit insanely hard. If I get amped and there's like extra strong plus auras, it's probably, it could be a rip. You never know. I did it to level 96 with this character though, so Oddly enough, this season, level 96, 32% isn't even in the top 50 of assassins. That's how popular Sin is. There's just so many good Sin builds. Obviously, this probably being the most popular of them all for bossing and mapping. But also have all the martial builds too. Fist of Fire. But you'll notice that even though he doesn't have Battlecry and Striking, like he casts it like all the time. I mean, at least a lot, I would say. Yeah, like he casts it there. And there you have it. Anyway, I think you guys got the idea. She's a beast for sure. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed her progression throughout my solo self-end hardcore this season. Probably not going to get too many upgrades on her past this, but you never know, I might have a gear showcase at the very least or something. At the very end of the journey, just to show how far this character has come. This is my OG character. It's what we started with. Everything else is literally a result of this character's initial farms, and now all the characters are helping each other out. But you can see though, that's devastating. Look at that. It's crazy. But yeah, anyway. GG, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you guys think about our progression. Did we do pretty well this season on this character? Are there any characters you would like to see? Maybe I'll have the gear for something decent. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Dark Humility, over and out. Let's get it. OP, OP, OP.